Call to order at 6:05 for the West Linn Sustainable Advisory Board. There's no one here to do public comments, so we will pass that one by. Quick check-in. We're all here in person. Greg, you want to start with introducing?
Yes.
Okay.
Rob Cooler is sitting across from Dylan, and we were colleagues at Lewis and Clark for many years, and saw Rob down at the Oregon Leap Conservation Voters Lobby Day about a month ago, and asked like whether he would be interested in filling that one remaining place, and Rob said yes. So put in his application. City Council approved it on Tuesday or Wednesday night, and so it's great to have him join us. So I really appreciate it. Do you want to say something about yourself, Rob?
Yeah, just really happy to join. Recently retired from Lewis and Clark, so some time to do these sorts of things. So involved with MCAT for a long time, mobilizing climate action together. That really stands for Oregon League of Conservation Voters. Just and excited to help out. And again, those of you who have said this already, I'm recovering or in the middle of a flu bug. You don't want it, so.
Good.
So yeah, glad to be here. Thank you.
I actually had the privilege of teaching one of Rob's daughters. Must have been a dozen years ago. So it was nice to have that opportunity as well.
Did you teach there?
Yeah, I taught it.
What did you teach?
I taught in religious studies and classics. I taught ancient world, early Judaism, early Christianity, Greek, etc.
Yeah.
And I will. The other thing I should say is I'm going to leave at like 5 to 7 because I want to be down the hill for Monday, Thursday. So I know we normally goes for an hour and a half.
Anybody else want to check in?
Leo Groner.
Just to introduce.
Leo Groner, City Council. I've got to leave at 7 as well.
Okay, we'll see how much we can get done by 7 then. Yeah, so since we're here and since you're new, let's each introduce. Dylan, you go next because your mouth's not full.
So I'm Dylan Dick, the assistant to the city manager. I'm
I'm Victoria Meyer, and I'm currently one of the 2 co-chairs. This is Greg.
Hi, Rob. My name's Dan. I'm one of the co-chairs with Victoria, and I've been doing it a couple years now or so. And I'm an attorney during the day, and this is my passion in the evening.
I'm Michael Carlson. I work professionally as an engineer, and I think I've been doing this for 3 years now. I think it's 3.
3 or 4,
Yeah, I'm Roberto Baturoni. I'm a cloud solutions engineer. Like more than 20 years in the industry, and I just joined.
Yeah, you just started.
It's like 2 months ago.
And Greg Smith retired, and I managed to run out of the house without my hearing aids. So if I go, hey, can you repeat that?
Not
That's
again. All right. So I have written down approval of the March minutes. I did not bring them with me. Dan, you have them on your computer, right?
Yes.
And
I can email those out if that would be
this. Didn't I emailed them out already?
Yeah, I also
you
did.
emailed them out. So everybody's had the opportunity to see them at least 2 days. Are there any? I offered one correction to put in everybody who was attending in March. That's what I have to say. Anybody else have?
I had some corrections on the March minutes. It's Doug Erickson, just ERIKSON. It looks, and then it's Oaks, the woman who had sent the letter with regard to the Merrillhurst Neighborhood Association, so OAKES. And at the I think the last sentence, there was a question about one of the things that I had asked about asked the members to do, and it's like I asked them to send recycling opportunities that he could include in an op-ed where there are just the questions about like what it was.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So with those changes, do we have an approval for the minutes?
To approve.
Somebody has to make a move.
I motion to approve the minutes.
And I second.
All right.
Roberto seconds.
Minutes are approved. Well, next on the agenda is a follow-up on recommendations that Parrot Matrix made and what we can do to keep that going, but I wonder if we should do that a little later today. Then,
When Case is here.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah, so I'm gonna hold off on that. After that is, it looked like we didn't finish discussing the regulations that in Ashland, having to do with charging fees for gas appliances put into houses. We're gonna do some more on that, Greg. Do you have that yet?
I have the ordinance. Did folks have a chance to read that ordinance and the article from the Ashland tidings that I'd sent out?
I did,
Yeah.
but it's been a month.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, I did, but yeah. been a
So
while.
why don't I just review what's in the ordinance? And then we can kind of go from there and decide like whether it's something we want to explore. The ordinance, the intent was to de-incentivize the use of natural gas and other fossil fuel appliances in that adversely affect the environment and public health. The ordinance disincentivizes the use of fossil fuel appliances by establishing a fee on new residential homes built that incorporate a fossil fuel thermal energy system, that is furnaces, water heaters, ranges, gas fireplaces, and or clothes dryers that run on natural gas, coal, oil, propane, or other fossil fuels. That fee is based upon the Environmental Protection Agency's determination of the social cost of greenhouse gases and the average greenhouse gas output for a natural gas appliance over its useful life. If a new residential building incorporates any of the above fossil fuel appliances, they will be charged the associated fees, which will be due upon the issuance of a building permit. The fee does not apply to commercial buildings, additional dwelling units, demolitions and rebuilds, or the addition, alteration, renovation, or repairs to existing buildings. The ordinance also allows for the adjustment of the fee amount to account for inflation and requires annual reporting from fossil fuel utilities. And so there's a charge for different appliances, furnaces, first 15 years, for 15 years, lifespan, $4,000, water heater, $1,300 approximately, range, $375, gas fireplace, $728, clothes dryer, $145. And it was basically approved in February. They anticipate that it will bring in approximately $90,000 a year based on recent building trends. So it mostly is, it just serves as a disincentive. And it doesn't look like, if that's all the money they're bringing in, it doesn't look like a lot of homes are actually going to be moving in that direction. But I participating in like the statewide group that's really kind of looking at ways in which to kind of change building practices. There was a lot of excitement about this happening in Ashland and hope that it could actually become instituted more statewide. I know that it looks like there's a chance that it would happen in Bend. There's some action in Corvallis. Eugene is facing a kind of a major budgetary issue this year, so it's kind of uncertain about whether anything like that would be passed there. But I at least wanted to bring it up. There's a law professor at Lewis and Clark who has been providing guidance to cities that are interested in moving this direction.
Oh,
And she said that she would be willing to speak with us about it in more detail if it's something that we were interested in pursuing. And in ways, it's just a way to get developers to really think about kind of transitioning away from the use of natural gas in new homes. And again, a lot of new homes are not being built in West Linn, and it's unlikely that a lot more will be built as well. But it's a way to at least send a signal to the community that we're trying to kind of grapple with these issues.
would it change code? Would it make the city have to change code?
There would have to be, yeah, there'd have to be a change in code. So that this fee would have to be, what they did in Ashland was pass an ordinance. And we could expect controversy. as Lou mentioned, because the natural gas companies do not like this at all. But it would be a way to at least get the issue on the table and get people thinking about the, you know, the possible utility in making that transition.
How about builders? Or,
Yeah.
do we have any sense of how builders responded in Ashland or any of the other cities? In terms of, did they oppose it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do. Like builders opposed to this or?
Of builders, it's uncertain. It did not sound like in the conversation that we had, the report from Ashland,
Mhm.
the main objection was on the part of the utilities.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it certainly would, you know, mean builders who were interested in moving in that direction would be the ones who would have to pay that cost. And my assumption is that it would probably be then included in the cost of the house.
Is it like a fine
No, it's a fee.
fee?
It's a
That's all.
fee.
It's a regular fee?
They would pay a fee
It's a
if they
permitting
wanted to
fee.
do this.
Yeah.
It's like,
So like it was gonna be $4,000 for a gas furnace,
oh, interesting.
$1,200 for a gas stove. Yeah.
800 for a fireplace.
Yeah.
So it would just up the price for, if you really want gas, you can still have it.
Yeah,
I kind of like the whole plan.
yeah.
One thing that I'm looking at here and I'm wondering is, it's not as if the technological alternatives to these things are without their own carbon emissions.
Sure.
I'm curious as to whether these fees are calculated based on like the differential between like technology options or just charging for like the full amount of the emissions.
I think the motivation behind this is electrification.
Yeah.
And that's what this particular committee has been really kind of focused on, is building electrification. And so I think the hope is just to be able to make the move away from the dependence upon fossil fuels and become much more kind of focused on the use of electricity for people's power needs.
Yeah, of course. My question is more like, if I can go get a split system heat pump, that, you know, its carbon emissions are not zero. Let's just, for the sake of argument, it says here that the average carbon emissions of a standard gas furnace are 1.32 megatons of carbon dioxide a year. Perhaps a split system is something like 0.2. Like, why not just extend this to the calculated cost of any technology?
Charge a fee based on carbon emissions.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because like, I
Interesting.
mean, some furnaces are more efficient,
Mhm.
some are less efficient. Some split systems are more and less efficient.
Yeah.
You know, this is kind of a blunt instrument here, and, you know, admittedly, the administrative overhead of trying to make this more nuanced is probably prohibitive anyway. But I'm seeing room for this to be maybe a little bit more thought out than just like, you have it or you don't.
For the long term, like, because eventually it's gonna be more based on carbon emissions.
Mhm.
Like, we're gonna have a taxation or something in the future that we're gonna be like as individuals.
And I suppose
That's
that
interesting.
that could be an argument that would be raised by the natural gas industry, is that it's unfairly targeting them,
Mhm.
whereas, you know, there are carbon emissions tied into the production of electricity, unless you're basically only going with solar and wind, which nobody is. So I think I could imagine that being an argument that would eventually be brought to court.
Yeah, having it be more like broadly based about the emissions themselves rather than explicitly targeting natural gas
Yeah.
would probably give this sort of thing a better legal ground to stand on.
Uh-huh.
Well, let's
I'm not a lawyer, but it's not targeting.
Lou,
Question. The mix of electrical power that we get in West Linn from Portland GE, I believe it's on the order of 2/3 of it is either hydropower or renewable. Does somebody have a better number than that?
I could find out.
It depends on also
The other thing
the
to consider,
user, the house.
yeah, so if it's still around, the Energy Information Administration maintains a website that basically will tell you what the carbon emissions of a particular grid segments are. It's pretty broad. But that information could be used to help us with that.
Mhm.
You probably should note too that like whether somebody signs up for 100% renewable power or not is more of an accounting thing than like something that actually has implications for the actual carbon emissions. So, it's not like there's separate cables for everybody
Right,
depending on their
right,
billing.
right.
It's just we have a grid. So that would be how we would need to calculate it for basically anybody.
Mhm.
So along these lines, do we know whether the fee structure is tied to the expected emissions, long emissions of the appliance?
I think as far as I can tell, it's just based upon whatever hookups they have in the home for particular appliances.
Because along these lines, I mean, you can make those kind of calculations, and that would give you,
Mhm.
you can say, here's the baseline, here's what we expect from everybody, every home that's fully electric, and here's what we expect from a home that includes natural gas in these, areas.
Yeah, 'cause it would be too difficult, the permitting process, to say, oh, you want to build a house.
Exactly.
Well, okay, 4 months from now, you're going to purchase the furnace. Like, tell us what it is now. Like, it's
Mhm.
probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's the simplicity of doing it by hookup. A ton of sense.
Right, yes. So I think what you're saying is that there are real problems tied into just the very conception of the ordinance itself that people will kind of run into eventually.
Presumably.
Yeah. So
So is it Melissa Powers from the law school? Is it Melissa Powers who's working on this? Who's sorry? Who is the law professor who's working on this at LT?
no, well, this came out of efforts in Ashland
Yeah.
purely, and I think they had come up as an alternative to the law that the ordinance that Eugene and Berkeley had passed with regard to restricting any new building that included natural gas. And so that was, as you undoubtedly know, was kind of found to be illegal. And so that this was an effort to find another way to basically try to, as they say, de-incentivize.
Yeah.
I think that.
He's
that's the
asking
motivation.
who the professor that it's helping will
Oh,
be.
who the professor?
Yeah.
I can't remember. I can't
Okay,
remember
so
her
it's
name.
not-
Yeah,
Is it?
it's a
Would
a younger woman who's probably in her mid to late 30s.
So maybe.
I mean,
Karen. Okay. Yeah.
It would be
Okay.
nice to hear from her if she.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be really. Yeah.
Yeah. So it might be, if you think it's worthwhile, I can certainly find her name at the next time that we meet and see whether she would be interested in coming to
Yeah.
hear us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will write that down as one of my tasks.
Goodness,
Thank
okay.
you. Oh, there it is. Thanks.
I just wanted to add, it's just this voice in the back of my head saying that when Ashland got this going, it was the high school students who were picketing and carrying on
Well, there were high school kids and college students.
and
Yeah,
college.
yeah.
It just wasn't something that came from mature adults.
Not purely, yeah. It was really,
You know,
Really, they
yeah,
were.
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I don't know, it's just one of those, it just really helps when you get the kids on fire about something. Because they won't sit still until something happens. But that's where it came. I don't know if that's where it started, but it certainly was moved along the way now.
Very cool.
I think Lou still has his hand up.
Yeah, according to Gemini and AI, for Oregon, the overall electrical generation was 62% renewable, with hydroelectric power being the primary source. So I don't know if it's any different for West Linn, but that's the Oregon average.
Does it say what percentage is wind, Lou?
No. Hold on. Yeah, hydropower is about 40%. So total renewables, 62%.
So,
So renewables, 62%. Okay, so hydro and wind.
well, yeah,
I know over the years, they have to bump that percentage up. That a lot. Renewables bump up every there's benchmark years and.
Brett, I had a question. As far as the money that the revenue that comes in, you said it was 90,000. Do they have that designated to
To
go
the general fund.
to
It's just the general fund, yeah. So in some respects, it may be more a kind of rhetorical thing to do
Mhm.
than something that's going to have a kind of a major impact one way or another. So I guess the question then is it worth creating the controversy to something that's essentially rhetorical? But I think that would be the sort of thing that the professor from Lewis and Clark might be able to help us kind of explore as well.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Okay.
If there were not a building going on here, that would be one thing. But it might be that we're not kind of generating much more
Yeah, it's not
than would be
renewable
being
land.
generated in Ashland. So $90,000 for those kinds of charges, maybe you're looking at 5 or 6 houses. So it's not like it's a huge thing.
Yeah. All right. So, you're just gonna check in with the lawyer and we may or may not get to talk to her.
Yeah, and well, it sounded like she was really interested in speaking with us about it. So, and it sounded like she was pretty committed to it as a strategy. So she might be quite persuasive, even though, but I think
Or have more
asking her the
arguments.
question about like, what will the real impact be in a community that's not building a lot of new homes?
Well, over long periods, homes do get replaced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, what about those 52 new houses down in the wetlands?
well, that, could make a difference. But I know that Mr. Schultz is planning to install solar panels on those. So I know that he's at least thinking about alternative energy systems for that development as part of it being a kind of model. So, but I think it's worth the conversation. So let's see what
Yeah.
happens. Yeah, I'll invite her.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to communication updates. There were 3 bullets here. I'll read all 3 and then we can get into it. One is topics for the city newsletter, and I think we covered that pretty well last time, but I wanted to check. Research into Tigard and Milwaukee tree code revisions. That may still not have happened yet. And the letter from Carrie Oak that went out. I just brought one copy.
And I have called the natural resource person and the person who's in charge of the urban forestry efforts in Milwaukee. I got to that late, so haven't heard back from them yet,
Okay.
but I'll keep you posted. I know that when I talked to the city manager about this a year ago, she said that the process of revising that tree code was similar to what Darren has suggested, like a good year-long experience. So it's more than just a short-term effort, and I think would likely require the hiring of a consultant in the way that Darren had suggested to really see it through. So it isn't simply just kind of using the language of their tree code as an amendment that can simply be approved by the city council. So the more that I look at it, the more I realize that it's not just a kind of a short-term slam dunk kind of revision that can be made. But I think what I picked up from Mrs. Oak's letter is that we really need to look at more than just looking at the ways that developers are charged for the replacement of trees to kind of maintain the urban canopy. We really need to look at the enforcement question as well and how that happens or doesn't happen. I guess I'd just be interested in your response to the enforcement question that was raised by the folks at the Merrillhurst Neighborhood Association.
Before you answer, is there anyone who has not had a chance to look at this letter yet?
Yeah.
I can.
I don't know about the enforcement piece, but I do know on Monday, council took up the planning docket and they looked at it and they did it. Councilor Gunner can correct me. My understanding is there was interest they didn't change the priorities of where the tree code fits on the docket right now, but they do have interest in understanding more the scope. And I believe that they're going to talk about it. They're going to schedule it for an upcoming work session we're planning to come talk about the tree code to council, the council can kind of, so it's getting some movement.
So more
up.
attention than it has, okay.
And
And so
when
that
that
would be
work
the
session
same,
happens, I'll definitely let everyone know.
That'd be good.
Yeah,
would that be the same May 5th work meeting?
no, I don't think,
Okay,
it's not scheduled yet.
Okay.
I don't know what the date.
but there
is yet.
will be a work meeting
That's
for
my
that.
understanding.
Okay.
Is that what your understanding? Councilor?
Yeah, yes, I agree.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's helpful.
Yeah, so there's some movement.
Interesting.
Yeah, okay. So this letter from Carrie Oaks, I don't know if this is in addition to what we just spoke about, or we need to treat it separately. And, she's talking about pretty detailed.
Yeah, I think
What
what
overlays will be part of the discussion.
we discussed this before also, like understanding what is the canopy inventory that we have, the tree canopy inventories.
Yeah.
And this is probably an easy task. Maybe it's not that difficult because there are so many tools already online that can tree.
Oh,
You can
right.
you can understand what we have,
Mhm.
and from there also we can enforce, or we can see where we're missing and be more mindful where we need to replant or like put these extra trees, because she mentioned in their own property, like well, they're removing trees for a reason, and then we need to put more in the same area.
Right.
But I think but it's giving me that we need to see what is the roadmap, not only the tree code. It's what is the purpose, what is the
Or a
end
baseline.
goal, motivation, yeah.
And I think what he's talking about is like, it sounds as though the current code basically specifies the numbers of trees that can or cannot be removed. You can't, you have to kind of maintain at, the 20%, but what they're talking about in Milwaukee is not the number of trees, but the amount of space that the tree canopy takes up in the city. And so that the idea is to make sure that that canopy, not the number of trees, but
Right,
the canopy remains at 40% or above after 2040. And so that means you can take down a tree, but you have to be able to replant that tree in such a way that the same canopy, once that tree matures, will be maintained.
thank you for explaining that so
Yeah.
clearly.
Very
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
And so I think what Roberto is talking about is really trying to get a sense of like what our current canopy is, which it sounds like Milwaukee had done. And I know that Portland has kind of an inventory of all of the trees in the city. And I'm assuming that that's related to a tree canopy, but in terms of the amount of the city that is covered by trees,
I think that's just street trees.
that's a street, only street
I
tree?
think so.
Okay, only street
Pretty
trees,
sure we
okay.
have some sort of street tree
Yeah.
inventory.
Is
So-
that maintained?
I'm sorry.
No, the
maintained?
Portland is
Mainly, I
all
don't know
trees.
the last time they did it.
Yeah.
That's- yeah,
It was just a
Okay.
snapshot.
In terms of the inventory you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, now, do you know like whether the city of West Linn has done a tree inventory?
I believe they've done a street tree.
Okay.
inventory, Yeah.
Yeah. And do you know whether there's any information with regard to the canopy?
Maybe, I'm not sure. I
Yeah.
could ask GIS those questions.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, because that's what you were thinking high school kids could potentially help out with.
there are apps available. that
There are
do-
apps, there's LiDAR,
Yeah.
there are makers in the high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah, we have LiDAR map.
Yeah.
Pay for it.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
if those are
do we
updated.
ask you, Dylan, to look into this, or do we start?
Yeah, I
talking-
can just talk to.
Do we start
the-
talking to high
GIS.
school kids?
Yeah, we
I can talk to GIS staff. I can
Yeah.
start there.
start there and then.
So if you could find out whether or not the city has that kind of inventory done, if they don't have that inventory, then I think one of the things we could do in May before school ends is I could arrange to talk with, some of the science teachers that I know at the high school and see whether there would be any interest next year in trying to kind of engage their students, in that kind of process. Is I think Jim Hartman, who's been the environmental studies teacher there for years, is retiring at the end of this year.
Mm.
But there's another guy that I've worked with, Jeff Bingham, who will probably play a major role. And I think Jeff might conceivably be interested in having students do that. And they've had a green team club there for years. And it might be like a club activity rather than a class activity that would be of interest. So let's find out, and then you and I could go over and chat with them.
Let's see what they're doing. Maybe they're doing a lot of things. now.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll be surprised.
Okay. Well, that's good. So I feel like we've looked at that pretty carefully then. If we hold off on looking at parametrics, the next thing on the,
And Kate is,
Get there.
hey. Hey,
Hello.
Hey, Kate.
Sorry.
all right, I'm glad you're here. The snacks are good though.
Yeah,
Um,
sorry I didn't make it there in person. I told Victoria I'm helping coach my son's baseball team, so I was doing that, and then I had to run him home, and I didn't have time to get back over there. So
It's all right. It's understandable. I'm glad you're coaching. So let's spend some time. Anything left on the agenda is looking at the education and that old time fair. And we only really have this is April, May, June. We have 2 more meetings before the old time fair. So let's look at that after we look at parametrics.
Mhm.
Parametrics first.
Oh, parametrics,
and then,
yeah,
And then
okay.
old time fair. Just in terms of those who have to leave. So I don't have the papers with me. I'm used to having my computer. The recommendations that they made, and we need to do some follow-up on feedback. We haven't really decided how we're going to support what they recommended. That's my feeling of it. Like we say, yeah, we should do that, but I see us here saying the same thing last time and the time before this. So yeah, we need to do this. And I don't think we have anything concrete to do in place. And I don't have all my papers with me.
well, I mean, some of the things are happening, right? One of
Yeah.
them is the operations building.
Mhm.
So now we have that scheduled May 5th.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dale.
And that's a daytime, I believe, 1 o'clock work session that hopefully everyone can come to, or if you can't, you can watch it later, you can watch it from home.
Wait, 1 o'clock
Join
which
from home.
day?
May 5th,
May
Monday.
5th.
The consultant for the ops building will be coming in to talk about all the sustainability features.
That's very
of the
cool.
new building, the council and.
So probably useful just to see who can attend that meeting right now. You know, some people won't be able to.
Yeah, I won't be able to.
Yeah.
I can do it.
So I can be there.
I think
Rob can be there.
for sure.
Yeah.
And virtual is an option too, or just watching it later.
Yeah.
I could do. I probably do virtual.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent a link in the email, just sign up on that link so that we know to send you a WebEx
Okay.
if you want to come virtually.
And basically we'll just be responding to the architects and the conversation from the Public Works Department. then.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So that was one of the things from Parametric. Another one is doing a policy for alternative fuel electric vehicles. Parametrics has helped create a base for that. And Public Works has that. I don't think they've had a chance to, I haven't heard anything,
Yeah.
but they have it.
Good.
So that is also moving. That's another goal that's moving.
And so will they bring like a resolution to the city council just in terms, or does it require a resolution to do that?
I don't think it will be a resolution. I think it would just kind of be an administrative policy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's going. I'm trying to think what else. Parametrics has also been working on a funding opportunities memo for us.
How's that work?
It's just kind of like listing different ways to fund sustainability initiatives, grants and ways where you can, take pieces of money that saving on LED lighting, and then you take that savings and put it in an account and things like that. So they've given an option for that. That's another thing they did. On their list.
Have they been able to do any help with regard to HVAC?
No, I don't think so. Part of the thing, I was supposed to meet them this week, but John and I were supposed to meet with the city manager, but we delayed it so that we could hear, because you had that on the agenda. So I wanted to hear from all of you guys. Well, we have a little bit of money left on that contract.
Yeah.
And they are kind of asking, okay, we've given you all these things. How do you want us to help you moving forward?
So how much, do you know how much money is left on the contract?
Remember exactly, I think somewhere around 3,000.
3,000? Oh, so not much.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
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 Yep. Consult.
All right.
This question and tied in with the community garden at Fields Bridge. I'm one of the managers there. And we are interested in writing grants for having solar panels so we can charge electric chillers and whatnot and go all electric for the community garden, featuring that would be a really good feature for the city to say, look, here's a whole collective doing this. And we need to write a grant, but you know, none of us knows how to write a grant. So is there any tie-in with this, with Parametrics and their knowledge and their,
I mean, they did give a list of grants in
So-
already, so I mean, you could look at those.
can I
see if any of-
look, please?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If they
can we
any
do that?
apply, I don't know.
What?
Well, and I
You
guess,
can see them.
Yeah,
oh, go ahead.
yeah, if we could all see that list, that would be
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, I'm moving forward at a snail's pace, but I kind of still want to.
So I know
And they are gonna, Parametrics is planning to come back and talk to the group again too. That is one of the things that's on there.
Okay.
a number of years ago, remember from, committee meetings, probably 5 years ago, there was a group of students from the community college who had helped the Parks Department kind of develop, I think they just made a recommendation that solar panels could be basically installed in many of the parks to produce some of the power that the parks needed to operate. And I'm curious about that, I think it basically just got shelved, that particular set of recommendations, but I'm wondering like whether there's money out there that would help the parks be able to do something like that.
You could ask, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think parks did do that in some parks.
There are some places that
Yeah.
have solar panels.
There
one
are-
does-
Have solar panels at their shelter.
Yeah, I think there are two.
Two that have done that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. But it seems like that would be something well worth pursuing as well.
Always.
So have you had a chance to talk with Rory or kind of figure out who to invite to a meeting to
Yeah.
talk about?
We've been bouncing emails back and forth with all the
Okay.
commercial developers. This is about the EV charging, encouraging commercial developers to put in EV chargers. So Rory's been emailing a bunch of people, he's been talking to them. I just got an email today
Uh-huh.
saying he connected with one of them. I don't know what the outcome is, but
Mhm.
it's happening.
Good,
Yeah.
good, great.
You know who?
Good to hear.
What's that?
Do you know who?
I think it's Graymore. He's one of the big commercial owners. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's hopeful.
Mhm.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's this one they own or Market of Choice one. I can't keep them straight.
Um,
Yeah, a lot of things are moving.
It does seem like that.
Mhm. I think what else there was. That's a lot of the things that was on their list.
Yeah, it is. A lot of things on the list. Yeah, that's great.
Encouraging. Really encouraging. Is there anything else that we want to explore with this conversation then about?
With parametrics?
Yeah, so it looks like I'm gonna take that all right back in about nothing happening, because it's all behind the scenes, away from this, when we're at this table.
Yeah. Happening and then it'll circle back.
Yeah,
It'll all circle back.
okay.
Actually, one thing that I think would find useful is that if we could at least have a conversation, maybe using that last $3,000, just about looking to the future. What kinds of things should we really be attending to that are next on the list with regard to those strategic plans. And if they could sit down with us just a couple of times and have a meeting to kind of lay out an action plan for the next 2 or 3 years, that would really, really be helpful. And it seems like this is the sort of thing that $3,000 ought to be able to pay for.
I would hope.
It shouldn't cost that much.
I will certainly pass that on.
Hmm?
I'll pass it on, I'll bring that up in the meeting.
Yeah, pass-
With
pass
the
it on.
city
I feel like
manager and
they'd be
the
willing to-
parametrics and then, you know, they'll take all this and they'll come back here and we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great, thank you, Dylan.
that's
Could
kind
they-
of the flow.
They've reviewed all that stuff to be able to get the recommendations that they've already made. So it seems like they ought to be able to give us some guidance about like where we should go.
But so I'm catching up. So parametrics is
yeah.
it's a component. But
Yeah.
but what is it? What's it?
Yeah.
Is it about sustainability?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they make recommendations to municipalities about climate action plans, sustainability plans. Had been called the Good Company.
Okay.
And before they were bought out by Parametrics a year and a half, 2 years ago, and had worked with a lot of cities in Oregon. I think to good effect, and they came really well recommended, and so we thought it was worth a shot just to try to give us an idea. Because the city just doesn't have the money to hire a sustainability director. But we thought that if they could give guidance to the different departments about where to direct their energies, that would be helpful. And so far, it seems like.
Yeah, one of the things they could emphasize is building resilience going forward.
Yeah,
Even more so than, because that's, I think, we need to be thinking about how to make.
yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, interesting.
When you say building resilience,
Yeah,
in
no,
what way,
we're-
what do you mean?
In other words, we're stuck with some, there are some things baked in, so we have to be thinking about plans, not just sustainability to sort of recycle, et cetera, but how do we ensure people are protected against heat waves?
Okay, you were thinking about, okay, I was
Yeah.
assuming, but I want to make sure.
Yeah, actually, the city applied to the state for one of their or climate resilience grants last year to install kind of a new HVAC system up or get generators for the adult community center, and we didn't get any. It was, but actually, one of the things I was going to mention is that there is kind of a lobby day for the climate resilience group on May 7th. And I'm interested in going down, but my wife needs the car that day. But if anybody else in the group is interested in going down to that, we go down to get
when
the
you say
training.
down,
if-
do you mean
To
Salem?
Salem, yeah, and then just talk to legislators. If you're interested,
Yeah, this is
In-
building resilience day.
yeah,
Yeah,
the building
I think
resilience
so.
day, yeah. Because that really kind of gets at exactly this issue in terms of making statewide dollars available to municipalities to do work that they otherwise couldn't accomplish.
Yeah.
And
What was the
Westland
date
is
for
all-
that?
May
When?
7th.
May 7th.
Yeah.
So if you want to go, Kate,
Yeah.
it's actually fun. The lobby days are really kind of interesting. They give you enough training to be able to not make a complete fool of yourself when you're talking to the legislator.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they do. You get these handy sheets.
Since we're there, anybody else on MCAT?
I am still.
We have an MCAT meeting with Jules Walter on the 28th. Send me an email.
Can't go.
Okay, all right.
I know. I'll be out of town. Well, that was fun. So I have the only thing left on our agenda is to look at education updates and prepping for the old time fair. And Kate, before you're not leaving at 7, are you, Kate?
No.
It's not too hard to get ready, except I wanted to talk about, we've tried to get a banner going. And I was down at FedEx yesterday. They make them.
Yep.
By the square
I know.
foot.
Yep.
So a 3 feet by 5 foot, which is bigger than we need, is $90. And since we have no money at all,
Mm.
it would mean we'd have to pony up for it.
Yep.
I would put in 15 or 20 for a banner.
I thought there was a table runner. What are you looking for specifically?
Something to hang.
Is there,
We have one.
yeah.
Where was
Okay,
I?
there's,
Well, we've always had it with our tin. Like with it's always been up when we've been out there.
What does it say?
Westland Sustainability Advisory Board. Nothing very sexy.
Yeah, we need something that brings people to the table, perhaps more than.
Some other ideas. I want to go back and do the research and find out what they were. It was like questions, like, butterflies
which
and
one?
EVs.
Yeah.
And getting people to say, this is what we're talking
EV,
about.
yeah.
I'm just gonna put it out there if anybody's interested in doing that, wanting some money to have something that.
we do have a large scale printer. I
Oh,
mean, I don't know.
we just need to send it. Yeah.
I don't know what you would want on this.
It's like-
The design of it would take some time. I don't know.
And what is the material you can print it?
I'm
There's a
getting
couple,
paper.
there is paper is one of them,
Yeah.
but there are
Paper.
other things. I don't use it, so I would have to get help.
You just ask. what
I used to print big like plans for engineering, but
Yeah.
just on paper, but I know they have other,
Yeah, you can use vinyl or like.
something like that, yeah.
Right.
I would have to ask about using that, but it's a possibility.
Because my wife has a like cutter that we can print in like stickers, like with names or figures, like a smaller scale, but we can just fill with.
Yeah, we worked on this about 2 years ago.
Right, and you came up with some language for it, so I think I could find that.
I can find that
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I'll look for it.
I can help with that design too.
All right,
Yeah.
yeah, so
But something that would
Yeah,
be
they
more
are.
attractive, yeah. would
something that would
probably be a better
attract.
idea, Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that would
Instead of
attract,
repel.
yeah.
And that brings me to t-shirts. Can we maybe have t-shirts by the time we do the old time fair?
Would wear a t-shirt.
I would too.
Well, we could have it with the same design as on the banner.
Oh, now, I don't know.
Give me that, something.
I would just
Plan.
ask that if we are going to have t-shirts, that we be mindful of the fact that old time fair is in July, so like light colors are probably better than dark colors.
Right, no black
Yeah, no
t-shirts.
Black,
That wouldn't be as fun.
No, and and since we're
White.
sustainable here, it's gotta be cotton.
exactly. No polyester.
No black.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll see if I can find this.
So the machine that the city has, could it print something that would not be paper? But would-
He has
but
to
would
find
like-
it.
He's gonna find out. Yeah.
Oh, he has
Or
to
you
find
mean,
out. okay.
just
I have
like
to-
a poster.
Okay,
Thing, is that
yeah.
what you're talking about? Yeah, I think it might be some sort of.
Yeah.
Not as nice as getting.
How big is the banner we've got? It's just like,
It must be 8 feet across, 10 feet across.
What?
No,
Yeah.
it's the width of one of those expandable canopies.
Yeah.
those are about 8 feet, maybe 10. That's how big.
And it's maybe yay tall.
Yeah,
Oh, so it's
One
like
about like,
the
yeah,
bottom, like
yeah.
the table or.
I think we tended to hang it like up high.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
we
Know
just
where you want, yeah.
want something that's, yeah, it's attractive. Okay,
So actually, something that was vertical rather than horizontal.
Yeah,
Might be better. And just to hang at one side
one side
of the
with a
canopy, yeah.
wall, sort of like, yeah, frame.
So something that would be like,
Cut some branches and make a frame.
Right. Okay, so, all right, I'm willing to work on that whole thing. I'll email you and ask you if you can find out about it. Okay,
Oh. Or
about printing the
And
banner.
which material they
And
can
what
use,
material?
and if we can use it. And if it can be color or just one color,
Yeah,
I think color.
or we can use the stickers from, yeah. Let's see.
I think it'd just be about getting some sort of a design together and what size exactly.
Yeah.
so,
Those are the things we-
hey, what do you know about t-shirts?
I was just thinking, didn't I say I would look at like slogans or something? What did I say I would do? But
I
maybe
don't
like
know.
2 months ago we talked about this.
Yes.
I remember talking about this.
Well, do you remember what got said?
I think I said I would look at slogans or something, but I'll have to go back. It was not last meeting, but the one before, I think. I don't know. But
can
I,
throw
I
some
think we
emails.
should get t-shirts. I think it's a good idea.
You had said your shelter and we're gonna do a design. For
Oh,
the
yeah.
t-shirt.
Oh, I think I was gonna use Chat GPT, wasn't I? Or one of the
That's
not that one, but the one that does the images.
Ah, no.
Why don't we have a little design and slogan contest?
Yeah.
All right.
There is a
Okay.
Planet Two or something like that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna find out the slogan that we came up with, so after all that work. We talked, all right, I'll send out an email with the slogan that we had 2 years ago, and we'll see where that goes.
Yep.
I have some friends of mine who are they do design, said they would do one for us, but then they just kept not happening and not happening and not happening. So I didn't want to get in the way of the friendship anymore, so I just said, drop it, forget it. So, I'm not gonna ask them anymore.
Mhm.
Much as good as they are, they're too busy raising 4 children. Oh, yeah.
Depends on the day.
Okay, so, I don't have, except for new business, we are gonna finish early
Well, there is
unless
other educational stuff.
they're, okay, good. Let's
So-
go back to that then.
We had, the
I'm gonna
Times
have to-
published. You take off.
Hi, Rob.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm glad you could be
Yeah,
here.
really glad to be here.
Thanks for coming. Bye, Rod. Good to meet, good to see you.
Thank you.
So there was an op-ed published in yesterday's paper about, the garden class.
Thank you for that. Nice writing on
And
that.
so that will happen on May 1st. Oh, I will bring around to, well, actually, would anybody be interested in putting up, just some flyers?
Oh, like a parks and stuff.
Mhm,
I can do that.
about it, okay.
Did you pick those up already?
Mhm.
You picked them up already?
Yes, I picked them up already, and I've given some to to Diane Awalt, who's going to be will be the presenter. And so the garden club asked for some, and I had meant to bring them up tonight and I forgot, so I'll just drop some off to you. So if you can put them up around town, there's one at the library, I'll put one up at the Adult Community Center.
You can always go.
But if there are places that you normally go to, like grocery stores or whatever else, that would actually attract some people.
I go to
Um,
Marriott Young like every day.
yeah, that's good.
If you go
and,
to the Adult Community Center, just go Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, because that's when Tiffany's there. She's the one who will be excited about it.
Okay.
Don't go Monday or Friday.
It is on a Thursday, Thursday evening.
No, I mean, when you go to talk to them and give the
Okay.
flyer, just don't go Monday or Friday.
Okay. But it will be announced in on the city website.
It's there.
It's there now. So hopefully it'll attract some people. I've thought about
To be put in the newsletter.
sending the information to some of the teachers at the high school, just to see whether any high school kids might be interested in participating as well. So that will be happening May 1st at Robinwood Station. And then with regard to the backyard habitat, you can't make a reservation at the library until a month before the event. So I've talked with the folks at Backyard Habitat. They give me the dates that they would want to do it. It looks like a Saturday would be the best time in the early afternoon because the library closes at 7, so you can't have an evening meeting at the library. And so that will be happening. I think the other topic that I was interested in trying to write about in terms of another op-ed, maybe try to do these quarterly, is like an op-ed about recycling and reusing and kind of giving away. So I think that was the last thing that was in the minutes. If you know of other recycling opportunities in the city, please let me know. I will get in touch with the folks at Sustainable West Linn, their website. I think somebody is on Facebook. If you could send me just the contact information there, then I'll get in touch with them just to see what else they have to say about that as well.
Yeah, because they would be good people to be sure to contact about the garden speech.
Okay,
Just be sure that that's 300 people.
okay. So Dan, if I were to send you the flyer, are you on Facebook?
Yeah.
So if you could send it to them
Okay.
and ask them to post it, that would be great, okay?
On the topic of recycling, this last Monday's council meeting, there's a new Recycling Modernization Act, a law that's coming into effect, I believe it's effective in July, this July. And it's a whole bunch of new requirements that cities have to do related to recycling and, like standardizing what you can recycle and where you can, and dropping.
Wait,
where
are you
where you can
talking
drop recycling.
Statewide standardization?
Yeah. Yep. I think it's
What does that do to
statewide.
Ridwell and all the arguments from all the different garbage companies?
It's all related. All these things.
Uh,
There was one more piece on that I was gonna
That's
mention.
all right.
No, it's okay. It'll come back to me.
I got excited.
Oh, yes, this is, part of the law is the producers of waste have to pay a fee.
Yeah.
And so now there's organizations being created to collect those fees. So, anyone that sells paper products or anything, they have to pay a fee to this organization, and this organization uses it to like improve the recycling stream or, get waste out of the recycling stream. It's all these different, so it's a bunch of regulations. Clackamas County currently helps us with our recycling requirements, regulations. They are going to be, that's what council approved on Monday. The Clackamas County is going to help us with these whole new set of recycling requirements. So it's
Wow.
not related now.
That's great.
So for,
Interesting.
like just homeowners, everyday people, like what will this look like in practice? Is there any sense of that yet?
I don't have quite a sense of that.
Okay.
I mean, I think ultimately, there is a standard list of all the things that are going to be recycled, which is some of the things that are like that Ridwell recycles now. That maybe now the garbage haulers will have to take it, or they have to take it at certain, they have to make new depots for you to be able to drive somewhere and drop it off. I think there's a lot evolving, even Clackamas County, when they were talking about it, a lot of things aren't figured out yet. It's all happening right now, all being organized.
Interesting.
Would it make sense to coordinate the publishing of like an op-ed about this topic with this kind of situation?
It could be, if there's enough information at that point to tell.
To be able
get
to-
at the
yeah,
at the consumers. Nope, not everyone's going to care about all this back end.
Yeah, I could
Yeah.
even envision like an event,
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, this is brand new, depending on how complicated it is, let's just walk through what the new rules are and help people get that figured out.
Uh-huh.
Then like, we've lived here for 10 years and like every now and then my wife is still like, can I recycle this?
Mhm.
It's like, well,
I
it's,
get
it's
confused all the time.
like, okay, it's a plastic container, it's round, it's bigger than 6 ounces, but yes. Yeah.
Metro has that good tool, and our garbage, and then Clackamas County Sustainability has a website about recycling.
Oh, yeah.
There's lots of
Yeah.
places
And we
to
put
find
up,
it.
we pass out that information magnet every year, but it's still complicated. So
Yeah.
maybe trying to have an event like that would not be
I
bad.
can see people showing up for something like that, especially if it's like, there's awareness about the changing like rules and
Mhm.
opportunities for recycling. Like I'd attend something like that if I wasn't, aware of this route existing.
Uh-huh.
And that's something Clackamas County, the sustainability people could probably help with.
Yeah. Anybody want to take that one on? In terms of like an event?
We probably need to see more
I
about.
think we need to,
the
we need
rules
to
we're
get
gonna
a
see.
little
More about it?
Yeah.
Okay. Get-
Maybe we just like keep that on our radar moving forward.
Yeah, because they just gave it to Clackamas County today, so yeah, I don't see where it goes. I don't know. When the end, July is when, so the next couple months, we'll see.
Okay,
It
so,
should be evolving.
one of the possibilities would be I could publish an op-ed a month or so before an event.
Yeah.
And then, just kind of alert people to it. And so kind of plan the timing of that op-ed accordingly.
Well, that's what we did with the last
Maybe
one.
it's something to put in the booth also in the open fair, like.
Yeah.
People is confused about recycling. These are the guidelines.
Yeah.
Up to your supplier.
Yeah.
Your provider.
Timing of that, maybe, right? Yeah. I have a new business.
Are we on to new business?
Ready.
All
ready? Are you
No.
ready? Oh,
Do you need any more topics besides the recycling?
Recycling, no, not for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
New business.
This is new old business. It's just always coming up, leaf blowers.
Uh-huh.
It's hot topic on the community page right now.
Saw that.
Councilor Bonington is really wants to talk about it. So I
Really?
thought I'd bring it back up. I know we kind of went at it a little bit. I know there's been some research and things. So I still think there's interest. I know Lake Oswego is looking into it, kind of following Portland, but when I talked with sustainability person in Lake Oswego, they made it sound like, it's a big undertaking and it's gonna be spaced and they're not even gonna be ready to do it for quite a while. So they're gonna share information when they get further along the process. Yeah, that's really all I had, but I don't know. We want to kind of pick that up again, or at least talk about it.
Yeah.
It constantly gets talked about.
It's in the air the same way that the sounds are in the air. So is Lake
It's
Oswego
complicated, yeah.
has different phases worked out. It'd be interesting to have at least. I'd like to talk to them to know what their phases are even.
I don't think they're that far yet.
They may just know that they need to phase it.
Yeah.
That's not very helpful.
I mean, they may have the phases. I don't think we know where they're at.
I've asked them for whatever information when they are able to share it. So.
Well, is the Lake Oswego Sustainability Network that's doing this, or is it their?
Staff or.
Okay, so they have
Oh,
the actual city.
This
staff
is
working.
like gas powered leaf blowers. Is that what you're talking
Yeah.
about? Yeah, because I know that they are looking at creating a resolution that would ban them in the same way that Portland is.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a step
It's
beyond
not
where they
that
were last year, because they were really kind of, trying to avoid the kind of controversy that would be associated with it. And I think also, at least the sustainability network has really been concerned about its impact on like on small business owners. And
Factor.
I think that the hope was that communities could collaborate in speaking with the county commissioners about trying to set aside some funding to help people in small businesses pay for the leaf blowers, which is what has happened in Multnomah County. But I don't know. I talked with Rory about that a year ago, about talking with one of the county commissioners about it, but haven't heard back.
I mean, I thought we could maybe do an education day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Start with.
discussed. Yeah,
Mhm.
like a
Yeah,
demo,
like
right?
we
Like
did
a,
some, and maybe we could
Yeah.
do that as a starting point and.
Yeah.
Get the conversation
Yeah.
going again, or at least encourage people.
I have a question. There are two bodies in Lake Oswego. One is the network that is non-governmental, and the other is their advisory board.
Yeah.
So which one were you talking to?
I was talking to the staff that works.
Yeah.
with the
You were
city
talking to city staff.
And it would have been the advisory board that would have kind of worked with the city staff.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of people on the advisory board who are on, well, there are probably more than a couple, but have people on the advisory board who come to the advocacy committee meetings that I attend.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, there's a
Overlap,
close
yeah.
relationship. between all of those.
They're out of government. I don't know a better term for that. Originally came from the advisory board. Those folks got frustrated with just advising and wanted to do more. So they moved to having individual and personal and away from the city action.
Mhm.
So that's when you say the network, that means non-governmental. But I don't know. I've got some movers and shakers there. Rob Wagner's mother.
I talked with somebody, I think I mentioned last time around.
Yeah.
On the network, at the Lake Oswego Sustainability Network, about doing an educational event at Robinwood Station.
Yeah.
And so I'll just continue, I'll get in touch with them to see like whether there's a time that we could do that. And I think that the idea was in smaller settings to provide information about electric lawn tools.
I think you just contact vendors and they're gonna bring their stuff
Yeah,
to
yeah.
compete and show.
Mhm.
And and make a demo and say,
Yeah.
oh, this is really good.
I was really hoping we could have something like that at the Old Time Fair.
We had the
Definitely.
landscaping crew.
We did
Last
last
year.
year.
Did, see, I missed it last year.
Oh,
The
yeah.
year before that, there were the EV bikes. Before that, there were EV bikes, so I didn't know you had that.
Yeah, no one really took much interest in them.
Oh, for pity's sake,
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, more like an event with vendor, because, yeah,
okay.
in the community college, they made for EV cars, and it was fun to drive 3 different cars without going to a dealership.
Yeah,
And that was very like, it was good because you don't deal with people trying to sell you something and you test the car.
yeah, that's fun.
So we can do something like silly and like, just get a section of the old time fair, get a couple basketballs and a couple like traffic cones and get 2 electric leaf blowers and just
And
like
blow them.
have a contest to see, who can blow the basketball down the way. And then people might be like, oh, that's pretty cool. I think I like that.
How'd you
Trick
do
them into
that?
liking them.
That's awesome.
Because if it's just like, come here and look at this product, everybody, they're not gonna care. But if you make them like play games,
Yeah.
maybe they'd be interested.
It's gonna be a good dad.
Yeah.
We need
Um,
lawnmower or but
Yeah.
One of them would be really noisy.
That would be
Well,
the way to go.
not
Like they had
necessarily,
something
not
fit.
competing between like a gas and electric, but just
Oh,
like
okay.
have 2 electric. so
Okay,
that,
okay, good.
Like everybody has an opportunity to just, they can just use them and see that like they don't suck.
No, they blow.
No,
Okay.
we're doing good.
I had something to say, sorry. I liked that we were with the garden club last year. I thought that actually worked out well. Are we gonna share with them again?
I think it'd be nice.
About
The Westland Garden Club tabled with us at the fair last year.
oh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh,
So she
I can
said,
certainly talk with Susan and see whether she would be interested in doing that again. So I think that would be fun.
Yeah, I liked that because I thought we had some common people like who came to talk to them and then chatted with us, and some people who came to talk to us and then chatted with them. And then I wonder if there's any other groups we could be near that, like there were a couple other groups I thought that we would share some interest with that we weren't anywhere near, like I think the River Keepers, and there were a few other ones that would be nice to be near them if we could.
there is, whoever it is who organizes where all the tables go at the fair, we probably need to contact them and tell them that.
Well, yeah, I asked them to make sure that we were not close to all of the rides, so that it would be possible to actually have conversations with people. So that I did ask them about, and so I can ask them if they could also situate us with, if you could, so the river, you give me the names of the groups that are going to be there that you know of, and I'll see whether they can situate us like in proximity.
Well, the River Keepers and the Garden Club and also the Historical Society, that's another one.
Which one? Well, we've been next to the historical.
Yeah,
Society.
so that's another one. So
Well, and I
that's
thought
kind
like
of-
the they had the, was it the Highway 43 Vision group? What are they called?
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
do we share, we share concerned citizens. It's obviously not exactly the same, but some of the people who would talk to them, I think, would share interests.
Okay. No, I think that's a great idea, Kate. I will definitely.
yeah, so that's 4 other groups that we would be interested in being near. And it makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah, I really feel like we need to start this now and not wait till June. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And you said talk to somebody named Susan, and that was had to do with the garden club?
yeah, sharing the space with the garden club.
Okay.
And it's Susan Piper, who's the,
Susan Piper,
yeah.
okay. So you're gonna talk to her, do you say?
I'll check with her, yeah.
All right, great. And do you know who we contact? Well, you did contact them already about not being near the rides. Who did you contact about that?
Oh, just when I submitted the application, they asked about where you'd like to be located, and I said, not by the rides.
Right,
Right.
okay, so,
Hopefully, It's somebody in the Parks Department who is in charge.
Okay,
Or-
I
or
want to
knows
find
more
out,
about
I want to find out, who in Parks and Rec.
But I think what I'll do is just go through the window of the Parks Department and find out like which person is organizing it and then
Okay.
just let them know.
All right, so,
Yeah, either Tara or.
oh, okay, Tara or,
Tyler.
Who is it?
Tara or Tyler, who both work.
Yeah.
right up here.
okay,
So which day is gonna be Sunday or Saturday or both?
I have it written down somewhere.
I think we've always done it actually 2 days.
Hmm.
Oh, no, what,
Yeah.
2 years ago, we only did one day.
I went there both on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
I think last year it may have just been Saturday, because Becky and I took it all down on Saturday night.
I don't even remember if I.
So
did
it's been
last
very,
time.
but I think one day is probably sufficient.
I think we did one day last year.
What you think?
I think it was one day last year.
Last year was just one day. I think 2 years ago it was 2 days.
Mhm.
We already made a decision about what we were gonna do this year, and it's written on my calendar. We have a, also this year.
Yeah, you were asking who is gonna be available.
Yeah.
I thought it was Sunday, but I can double check.
Yeah.
Can you-
Look.
all
I
right,
can on Sunday. I can on Sunday. I'm gonna be maybe I'm gonna be in camping, so I'm gonna be arriving on Saturday and yeah,
Yeah,
to figure out how to put the RV in the house with all the streets closed.
right.
So that would be a good thing to, find out which day people can actually be there.
Well, I think we.
Yeah,
did
you
that.
did.
You
Yeah.
asked that, and I have the email up. It says, looks like Saturday would be best for Greg, and Sunday would be best for Roberto and Dan. And then Mike and Victoria said they could do either day. And then you said we
day?
could do 2 days.
Hey, slow down. Saturday was who?
Greg said he could do Saturday. I'm just reading the email.
Right. And who else?
And then Sunday, Roberto and Dan said they could do Sunday.
Okay, but there was a second person on Saturday.
It was
Besides
just Greg at first. Mike and you, Victoria, said you could do either day.
Right.
Is this
Okay.
the weekend of the 12th?
I'm
Yes.
happy to do Sunday. Let's
So
just all do Sunday then.
Well, I was thinking there are enough of us, we could do both days now. Before there were, we only had maybe 4 people total on the board. And so-
Depending upon the length of time you want to be there.
Yeah.
If there are only 2 people there, like on a Saturday, you're basically there 11 to 8. So it's a long time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we should do one day and.
okay, break it up. All right.
Do it like
So-
2 hours.
So we're
Yeah, I
gonna,
think like 2-hour shifts. Yeah.
okay, so we're gonna do it Sunday for sure?
Yeah.
All right,
What day is that?
13.
13.
July 13.
And it's nice to be there with 2 people.
Oh, yeah,
So, yeah.
half of the time. And then, yeah.
So if we did it on a Sunday, you could probably have 3 shifts of about 3 hours each with
Yeah.
2 people per shift. That's
That's fine,
Yeah,
reasonable.
okay. We'll work out those shifts later. Thank you, Kate, for actually accessing that email.
Yeah. And I'm not sure about my schedule then, because I think I have to drive my daughter to camp out of town that day, but I'll figure out timing as we get closer.
It's all right, you're gonna work on the t-shirt.
Oh, I got here. Can I share my screen? You guys can tell me if I'm moving in the right direction. Does the sharing work? Do you know?
Still haven't seen anything pop up yet.
Oh,
You should be able to.
Okay.
Huh.
I just want to do hold on, let me see. Oh, let's see what
Hit share
happens.
and then your screen, yeah.
Can you see anything yet or not?
Oh, we'll tell you when we can. We'll get all excited and shout,
Okay,
yay.
try one more time. Anything now?
Nothing yet.
No, okay, let's see. You can't display your shared content. Huh.
There you have it.
Because she's unverified, probably.
Uh,
Yeah,
That'll
but
work, but I don't know. There's nothing next to it.
that may not
there we
verify.
go. Oh, there we go.
Something's
Yeah.
happening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it show a t-shirt?
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows a t-shirt and a
Okay,
river and some buildings.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to show you just a few options and you can tell me which ones are going the right direction. Okay, so this is all AI generated, so ignore the spelling, okay?
If you,
Oh, yeah.
uh,
That's much better. No black, no black.
That's related. Yeah.
Yeah, so something like that. That's the second one. Here's the third one.
Susan ability.
Yeah,
Susan-
yeah, Susan Iability.
oh, yeah. Make it work.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
What does it say? Citizens for a.
Citizens,
I like
it's
that.
supposed to say Citizens for a Sustainable West Linn, but you know, they just did their own
Yeah.
thing.
They
And
had
then I
issues.
think there's one more, something like that.
Portland.
Like big pink downtown Portland, but yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
don't have it
yeah.
downtown. There's
We
no
don't have
there
those
here.
buildings. Yeah.
Just here to show that, I mean, we have no image.
Great.
Okay, did I stop
Yes, email
sharing?
and we vote.
Can you email it?
Email.
Yeah, I'll send you those and just tell me what your favorite like ideas are, and then we can go from there and change them, because obviously those are just what it generates, and it's kind of fun.
Okay. Yeah, all right. So Kate, I'm gonna find this, but what we worked on a couple of years ago was something like butterflies and worms and EVs, what, and that's all, big question marks. What,
EV. Yeah.
So it's like a broad range of things that you consider when you're considering sustainability,
Yeah.
and raises questions. If somebody comes in, what are you talking about, worms and EVs, And then you just say, this is what our group does. So
They're correlated.
they correlate it as opposed to
Correlated.
we're trying to get away from the word sustainability, which as soon as you get finished, by the time you're through saying it, you've lost 90% of the crowd.
Yeah. We could
Does it
do
make
one of
sense?
those, the ones, the shirts that, or those images where it has like lots of words and
Word
Yeah.
cloud.
yeah, the word cloud type thing. We could do something like one of those with all like a lot of words related to sustainability that aren't sustainability.
Yeah.
Well, would you two like to just do a Zoom conversation at some point
Oh, yeah, sure.
and come up with something and share it with us?
Sure. You know what we could do? This is a crazy idea, is we could do it over coffee.
That would even be better.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Coffee.
Do it over coffee.
Oh, actually in person.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. I'll email you and we'll find out when.
Okay.
Actually, you're probably busier than I am, Kate.
Well, I'm have some time when my kids are at school sometimes, so maybe you and I could find a time one of those days.
Anybody else want a finger in the pie on this? Thumb on the scale.
Did we go over action items?
Yes, let's go for action items because we have 5 minutes
Yeah.
left. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah.
I can never remember what they're called.
Okay, so let's see, first, we talked about the law professor from Lewis and Clark. Greg, you said that you would look into her name and invite
And then get
her
her-
to
yeah.
an upcoming meeting. Next, let's see, related to communication updates. Dylan, you said that you would ask the GIS group about current tree inventory and kind of see tools, like where it's at and how long ago it was updated. Greg, you offered to talk to high school teachers. You mentioned Jeff Bingham about being involved with the tree code idea.
Well, the tree canopy,
Or tree canopy.
basically.
I'm sorry,
And I think
tree
Yeah.
canopy.
I'll talk with Jeff once Dylan tells me whether or not there's been any kind of survey with regard to the tree canopy.
Yeah. And I think Roberto might you might be interested in that as well,
Yeah.
right? So
I
you'll,
can- I
you
can-
guys kind of coordinate. Yeah.
I know their apps. My son used to create
Yeah.
one, but
Yeah, iTrade is available also, but I don't know how to use it, so
Yeah.
you can get an estimate of with an image inference.
Mhm.
Then related to education outreach, Victoria, you will kind of coordinate with Dylan regarding printing capabilities
Yeah.
here. Let's see, also Victoria, you will email out the slogan we used a couple years ago. You said-
No, I'm gonna keep that secret now. I'll just talk to Kate.
Oh, okay, yeah. You'll look into that. Let's see, Greg will continue to work on op-ed. You mentioned perhaps doing it quarterly. The next one will be related to recycling
Right.
opportunities. I will, Greg, you'll email me
The flyer.
a flyer and I'll email that to Lake Oswego Sustainability Network. on
No.
Facebook or-
No,
Yeah.
the Facebook would go to the Sustainable West Linn. So the group that does all the
Oh, West
recycling,
Linn.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. Mike will help post flyers that, particularly Mary.
That's Young?
That's Young.
Well, I'll bring flyers. Can I bring flyers to you? You have places I could put them up?
No, it didn't work very well
Okay.
last time. I'm
Oh,
not.
but so Mike does, so I'll bring some flyers to you. Anybody else have flyers that can be put
I
up?
could probably put up.
Okay, so I'll bring some by
Yeah.
your place too.
See what else?
Monday, May 5th, all of us should, this is,
Oh, yeah, the work group, right?
that's
May 5th.
that's the meeting at 1 o'clock with the
Yeah, I don't know.
Public Works. So
I'll
that's,
watch it after the fact.
yeah, I'd like that to go into our
Action item.
action items.
Okay,
How do
yeah.
we call action items?
And then, let's see, Victoria, you mentioned the community garden is interested in, maybe a solar panels grant. And so I think it was, the SAP in general could, look at the list of grants from parametric.
Yeah,
right?
so you would get
And-
that to us.
Yeah, Dylan, you'll get that
Yep.
to us. Greg, I'm sorry, Dylan, you were still coordinating with Rory about
Yep.
Upcoming meetings with developers.
Mhm.
Let's be almost done here.
Oh, Jeff Bigham at the high school and the Green Team Club, Greg and Roberto.
You mentioned
Yeah,
that,
you
right?
that one?
We'll talk with him
Okay,
if
sorry.
there's a need for a survey, like a light art thing.
And then, Greg, you had mentioned on May 7th, what is it, Resilience Day in Salem or?
Oh, the building resilience,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Rob said that he would be willing to go down with.
Okay, yes.
So that is,
Okay,
it really
not
isn't
really
part
an
of it,
action
yeah, not an accident.
Okay.
Let's see. Regarding new business and leaf blowers, Greg, you volunteered to keep in touch and coordinate with, I think the Lake Oswego, the sustainability group about like a joint effort, education outreach at some point.
So Greg, is that with the network or is it with the advisory board?
It's with the advised, it's with the network.
The
Yeah,
network,
I thought so.
that's
Okay.
And then we talked about the old time fair and, Greg, you will talk with the garden club, specifically Susan Piper, about sharing
The space, yeah.
yeah, sharing the space with them. And then regarding the old time fair booth also, Greg, you're gonna reach out to them about not being by the rides and, being by
And we'll close to other
close
groups.
proximity
similar,
to other
yeah.
groups, and we've listed those out. And then finally, and most importantly, Corey and Kate will meet for coffee and, go over designs for the t-shirt. And then, perhaps, Kate, you'll email that out for us to vote on. All right? All right, cool. That's all I have.
Did I hear you say, that Dylan would talk to parametrics about possibly meeting with us to consider long-term plans?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll mention that to
Okay,
them,
great,
and then,
great.
yeah, I'll be scheduling them to come back.
Are they just holding for like instruction on what to do with the remainder of that grant?
Okay. Well, I move we adjourn. It is 7:30.
Right on time.
Kate's gone anyway.
Bye.
Something.
Bye.
Bye-bye, Kate.
Interesting. Kate just killed it for us, so.